What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another week on the PGA Tour. Sticking to the script, me and Matt, the final points. We got the RBC Canadian Open. Matt, confusing week, a lot of stuff to bet on, but we are here for one reason, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah, a lot going on in the golf world. Whether you love it, whether you hate it, golf is in the news, which is I think it's good. I think golf news is good news. So even in the public news, not just our Twitter feeds, it's heading over to everyone's Twitter feed. So I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, got a lot going on. We got a major next week, so kind of get through this week. But we have a decent field, so there's enough to be excited about. So I'm excited to talk about the RBC Canadian Open.
Yeah, more golf is never a bad thing because there's a lot of guys who get held out of a lot of events, and we see a lot of alternates who are fairly strong golfers. And if this Live Tour thing kind of takes off, Live Golf, whatever, more golf the better. That's how I look at it. It's not like it's a ton of events that it's going to take away from everything. I mean, sure, you're not going to see a handful of guys, but I think there's still a lot of unknowns, and we'll kind of get through that as we kind of progress forward. So regardless, this week, we're looking at the RBC Canadian Open at St. George's Golf and Country Club. It's a par 70, 7,014 yards. Listening to the pressers, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to any of them, but you hear like every single guy talking about how long these roughs are. JT was talking about how slopey the course is, some false fronts, like how difficult some of the greens can be. And I kind of saw that in my research with like 2010 when St. George was the host of this event. There wasn't guys who stood out in like your major categories like you see in a normal week. So what are you looking at this week?
Hit the fairway, be good with your irons, normal stuff, but also similar build to like I would say Southern Hills in my opinion.
Yeah,
driving accuracy, premium with short game and good iron players. Normal, but heavily driving accuracy and kill it with a driver is my go this week.
Yeah, and like you said, just being accurate, there's enough shorter holes here. I know there's around 7 from 450 to 500 yards on the par fours, but they're not 500 or over, so it's not going to give you that much of an advantage to be far. You're just going to have to be straight more often than not, and there's a lot of short par fours as well.
Yeah.
So, and the flood of like 200 to 220 yard par threes is pretty intimidating on the card because you saw it at Southern Hills. Like they're difficult to score on, and guys getting out of there with par was good enough. And I think that's going to be the case this week.
Yeah, I also looked at long par three scoring. I took some guys that excel in that feat. So, I mean, no matter what you're looking at, you're going to need a guy who has a pretty complete game. I don't think this is going to be I know I saw some people tweet that it could be a bona fide birdie fest, but I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see a good golf tournament with we got good golfers in it, whether they're prepping for the U.S. Open or they actually want to play this event. Probably a little bit of both, but I'm excited to talk some G and see who we both like this week.
Yeah, and talking about winning score, birdie fest, whatnot. Honestly, if I had to make a guess right now, I think the winning score is going to be like 9 to 11. I really do.
Okay.
I have that's the way that I'm at least approaching it. And looking at 2010, Pedersen won at 14 under, but he shot a 60, which is a course record in the third round, which is basically why he didn't score in the top of all these statistical categories. Like he was like top 3 in a lot of putting metrics, scrambling, sand saves and whatnot. So given the strength of the field, I mean, obviously if Scheffler has his A game, if Rory, JT, all these guys at the top, if they have their A game, they can get to probably 15, 16, but I don't see it. Like you said, I don't see it being a birdie fest, and I think it's going to be a little bit tougher than people are making it out right now. So
yeah, well, 9 to 11, I would have thought more closer to the 2010, but when you say it, like those long par threes, like that's 5 holes. Like that's not like just like it's 2. It's 5. Like I mean, I know there's one par 3 that's a little shorter, but still, like those aren't easy holes. So 9 to 11 might be a good guess. I would say I'm gonna guess 15. That's my guess. So
okay.
I'm gonna think, especially because it's a little softer. We got some rain this week,
right?
Guys could stop it on greens easier, make some more putts. We'll see.
All right, ready to get into the pricing?
Let's get it.
Let's do it. So the top of the board, it looks like a normal event almost. I mean, once we get down to the 6K, it's going to get interesting. But you got Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, followed by Cam Smith, Shane Lowry, Sam Burns. Very strong 10K range. Like I said, if you were to look at this on a normal week, you'd be like, oh, it's a pretty strong field. And it does taper off quite a bit.
Real quick, too. Tapers off quick.
Yeah, very quick.
Very quick.
Basically right into the next range, you could say. But where do you stand here, Matt? Because at this point in time, I'm pretty torn up here.
Yep.
I can make the case for a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. And my concern, I mentioned last night with Sam on our betting show, was the U.S. Open being next week. You always have that in the back of your mind. But looking at like 2019, when the Canadian Open was the week prior to the U.S. Open, Rory McIlroy won the event, came T9 the next week at the U.S. Open. There was 10 guys who finished T8 or better in 2019 at the Canadian Open. 8 of the 10 were already qualified for the U.S. Open. So it's like, that's a lot. I don't think it's going to be that way this year because it is a little bit weaker of a field. As you get down further, you're taking guys who are like at the bottom of the pricing when it comes to who's qualified for the U.S. Open. But I'm not going to shy away from this range. I just don't know where I'm really going to really plant my flag.
Yeah, I know where I'm planting my flag in this range, and I talked about on the my Tuesday show how just talking about how like the field drops off so quick. You're getting any one of these guys, like the winner of these guys could just be the winner of the event. So,
exactly.
For example, I was really, really, really wanted to start my betting card, Rory 11-1, and have one or two other names and call it a day. Because I was like thinking, okay, we're getting Rory 11-1 to beat these 6 golfers. We're getting whoever you want to name. You have to beat these 6 golfers and you win the whole tournament, which isn't really how it works, but kind of it might be how it works. We'll see.
Yeah.
So I ended up not betting Rory at 11-1. I needed something to get him off, and it was him not having his caddy on the bag. Will that make a difference? Maybe, probably not, but that was all I needed to get off of Rory in the betting market. But I still I love him so much. He was number 1 in my model for so many reasons, and plus the rain thing, that makes me love him even more. We know how well Rory does on these soft, wet golf courses, and because he carries his driver so much further than anyone else. And if he has a great driving week, if he gains 3-4 off the tee, he's not finishing worse than like 5th. And I promise you that, because if he's just crushing these drivers, he's going to be having these approach distances from a lot further than other guys. So I love Rory. He's the only guy I'm taking in this range in the DFS wise, but I started my betting card with someone else here that we'll get to when we get there.
All right. So believe it or not, and I've kind of made a point that don't play this guy too often, but Cam Smith is very interesting to me this week. Yeah. It just seems like if it's going to play the way that I think, that whole 9 to 11 range, I think Cam Smith is exactly where I want to go. There's a lot to like about him. Like, he absolutely destroys these shorter par 4s. He has all season long. His approach is second when it comes to these longer roughs. So like if the rough gets longer and it is a little bit difficult to get out of, I feel comfortable with what Cam Smith is able to do in that aspect. So I don't know. He's just seems like a guy who can put his head down, play his own game, avoid these bogeys, and kind of move on with his day. And I think at $10,300, it's a pretty good price. I can't make the case against a lot of the guys up here. The only one that I really saw was Sam Burns struggles a little bit when it comes to approach out of the rough. So in terms of like proximity,
he has tournaments where he has a big right miss, or his driver sometimes puts him in trouble. So I think that's going to be an issue here, especially if with this isn't no place you can spray it. You gotta. I mean, by no means is it like a RSM or a Harbor Town. You got to be deadly accurate, but you can't really be playing out of the rough regularly. You're not going to be able to score or keep up with the field. Yeah. But I like what you said about Cam Smith, and I'll give you another like reason why I think Cam Smith is awesome. We saw this at Houston, where Cam Smith was heavily touted, but that golf course is so long. He has, I mean, when he's going at these drives, trying to give it his all, he's going to miss. And because he's not the best driver of the golf ball anyway. Now he heads to a course where he's long enough, put it in the fairway. You just got to swing at it normally. I think that's going to be huge. And I think it's more of a mental thing than anything else. And we saw it firsthand at Houston. The course was so long and it looked like he was bombing away, trying to get it further in the fairway when it's not his game. They head through a course that's you got to just put it in the fairway and you'll have your wedge, you'll have your mid iron in. That's fine. So I think that's more of a mental game. Sadly, I'm not going to be getting to Cam Smith because I planted my flag with Rory.
Yeah.
But I do like where your head is at with Cam.
And that's like a recent thing because, like I said, I was going back and forth so much on these guys, and like I said, you can't really make the case against any of these guys because there's a really good chance that someone up here can just run away with it and have a commanding lead throughout the tournament or heading into Sunday, and it wouldn't shock me at all. What is your take on Lowry this week?
I've never bet Lowry before in my life, but I bet him this week.
I saw that. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. He didn't model out for me really at all. But so my thing was, I kind of tweeted it, so I'll explain it. I really wanted to bet Rory. And if I didn't want to bet Rory, I was going to go with a bunch of like 100-to-1 bombs, have like a 8 to 10 man card just with cheap bombs. Then I was planning on doing that. I looked down everything. I didn't love anything. I was like, these guys don't move the needle for me at all. Usually I can find my way with bombs and just like find something that I like about him. I couldn't really find anything.
Falls off.
I was like, let me look into Shane Lowry because some of the stats look good. And then I dug into his golfer profile and it really made sense. I mean, like, yeah, he's in this range for a reason. He's a great golfer. And I feel like people were betting him a lot the last month and a half, 2 months, and now he's starting to fall off. So I know that happens to me. I'll bet a guy for a few weeks, and then as soon as I get off him, he'll win. So everyone's betting him. Now I don't see his name as much. I'll take it 20-1. And I'm not like a Shane Lowry guy. I'm not going to vouch for him doing his thing, but he's a very accurate driver of the golf ball when he needs to be. And his irons have been amazing this year in basically every category from wedge to long irons. And he can score. He's I like him in a different country. I think it's a cool vibe. So I think Shane Lowry is in for a great week. I didn't play him in DFS because I just went the Rory route like I was early in the week. But I did start my card with 20-1 Shane Lowry, and I hope he wins.
In his last 2 trips to Canada, T2 in 2019 and a T12 in 2018. You're right. People are seeming to be off of him from a DFS perspective, just because he finally pushed his way up into this range, but rightfully so. And he modeled out pretty well for me. Given his price tag, I'll probably get to him a little bit. I did fade him last week. Didn't burn me. Finished outside of the top 30. So was weird fading Lowry. I remember telling you last week on the show that I was off, and sometimes you got to take breaks. But just looking at what he's been able to do this season, like in terms of the same thing we talked about at Southern Hills, like the sand saves, the scrambling, what he's able to do around the greens, just avoiding bogeys. Like it seems like a Lowry track as well. And I mean, if you start with Cam Smith and Shane Lowry, I think these guys play somewhat of the same golf when it comes to more difficult events, which, like I said, we don't know what the score is going to be. We haven't played this here since 2010 when we were not even following golf really. But I like these 2 guys at the bottom end here. I'll probably spread myself pretty thin above them. I know you're on Rory. Still kind of shuffling through Scotty, JT, and whatnot, but Cam Smith and Lowry are probably where I'm going to kind of start a majority of my teams here.
Yeah, I love that. I planted my flag with Roars, but I have to go someone else. I love Lowry. And you kind of made me think about Cam a little bit. Worries me a little bit, but
and you know this of me, I never play Cam Smith.
Yeah, you never play Cam. I never play Lowry. Hopefully one of us gets it right.
I hope so.
Did you bet Cam, or you haven't made any outright?
No, I haven't done outright. It's probably going to be more DFS for me. It's just a little too low. I haven't been going crazy on outrights this year. I don't know.
That's where I do my best work is in the
The
outright
books are
parlay.
getting
Sharper.
a little bit more sharp
Mhm.
in making people bite, and I don't know. They're getting a lot smarter than they were even last year, I feel like, in
Yeah,
some of these fields. Like they're making you bet the top here, and it's like you got to get it's like 25 to 1 or less to even get a decent player in this field, it seems
yeah,
like.
and like
That's
you
why,
can't
like you said with
bet a lot of
Rory,
guys.
you have to invest so much to get to like I love your strategy of what you do, but it just
Yeah,
limits what you're able to do.
exactly.
Say Rory's 5 back heading into Sunday, like he can finish T6 and it does nothing for you. Why not
Exactly.
get a couple extra bullets and whatnot? And we
That
already
was my
talked
thing.
about anyone can run away with it, but at the same time, if you can get 2 guys at 25 or 28 and cut Rory out all day.
Exactly. That was my thing. I was like, what is a better value? One Rory McIlroy or like five bullets who have a ceiling potential? Like you can't. There's no right answer, but
No.
I usually like to go with the bullets unless I like love someone. And I was close with Rory. Like I really was close, and I needed something to get me off of it. And Harry not being on the bag was that thing. Stupid reason because like it shouldn't really matter that much, but that was just the route I went with. I needed to tell myself something whether I was going to do this or not do this. So I mean, if Rory wins, that would be kind of cool because I play. I'm. You see how heavy I am on him in DFS. So
What percent you got right now?
I don't have the percentages written out, but I have for DFS this week. I'm going 20 lineups again, 11-man pool. So tight
11
pool.
man?
11-man or 12-man, 12-man pool. I just added one more. 12-man pool for 20 lineups. It's like if these guys hit, I'm gonna hit big. If they don't, I'm gonna lose. Like I'm not gonna cash at all. So it's like basically like if all 12 of these guys make the cut, I should be in for a very profitable week. But that's the
Yeah.
risk I'm gonna take. And it's been bouncing back and forth. I haven't hit big. So like I haven't hit big enough for me to be like, I need to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going lower. So I'm gonna go with a really,
That's what
really tight
DFS is
pool.
about.
Yeah.
Spreading it out, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and every week's going to be different, but
Maybe this week won't. So I will see. But I'm going with a 12-man core, and I will touch on every guy when I hit him because I'll just mention he's in my core. I'm playing him, or I'm not playing this guy. So my only guy I'm playing in this 10K range is Rory. So that's
does
my.
that scare you at all?
I mean, I'm not playing that much money, so I'm
Right.
playing what I could afford to lose. Not really, because I've been doing much better this season betting versus DFS. So I'm just kind of throwing around like I'm very good at knowing who will do well, but I, DFS you're competing against the other people who are smart,
Exactly.
not just a book. So that's what makes it hard. And I've only been playing DFS for 2 years. So I've been betting for much longer. So I'm a great bettor, but DFS I have up and down. So I'm going with a very, very tight pool. See if that will put me forward.
All right. So speaking of this tight core, let's get down into the 9K range. Sure, you have some takes here, but Matthew Fitzpatrick leads the way at 9.9. Harold Varner the third at 9.7, followed by Corey Connors, Tyrell Hatton, Tony Finau, then Adam Hadwin, Sebastian Munoz, Chris Kirk, Keith Mitchell, Matt. A lot of guys that we have been playing in the 7K range a majority of the year are
Yep.
finally up to 9. Not finally, but like given the circumstances are up to 9. I like Varner a lot this week, but DK makes it very hard given the way that they priced him because I think he should almost be swapped with, not even swapped with, but like put between, say,
Like
either
he's
Hadwin, Munoz,
expensive.
Finau,
Yeah.
that range down there.
He's more expensive than Hatton and Finau, which is and Corey Connors. Like it's crazy to think about, but like it kind of checks out.
It does.
So Harold Varner was the first guy I bet this week. As soon as FanDuel released at 42 to 1 and DraftKings was 22 to 1, I was like,
That's where I saw your 42. That's where you got it, was FanDuel.
yeah, I was like, this is just like this is a no-brainer. I'm just gonna bet this. Worst comes worst, I'll just cash it out because it was like on a legal book. Yeah, it's like Monday morning, 42. I was like, I liked him early in the week. He's amazing on long par threes. He's like the best on the tour on long par threes. So we get 4 to 5 of them, which is awesome. And I think now that everyone is, he was so chalky at what was that? Charles Schwab? Yeah.
Yeah.
So chalky, and he was there. He was there. He was in the lead back down on the Sunday, and we saw what happened. People are like, okay, Harold Varner can't win. He's done this too many times. I'm going to get off him. He's about 9% in DraftKings. Fine. I'm going very heavy. He's in that 11-man pool, so he's going to be very heavy. Harold Varner is, I think he's got a win coming for him soon, whether that is here or on a different tour. So hopefully it's here. But I'm hearing some murmurings that he will be leaving. So we'll see. I like Varner this week a lot.
One of our subs, Austin, said in the YouTube comments, any concerns with some of these golfers not playing their best because of the tourney next week? I touched on that a little bit earlier. It seemed like 2019, like a lot of the guys who finished in the top 10 were playing in the U.S. Open the neit's week and knowingly, like they had already qualified and moved on. So I have no concerns. I'm treating this as a normal event. It's not that far of travel. Like you see, they're playing in Canada. Now they have to go to a U.S. Open. It's not far. And JT touched on that. He's like, if this was Torrey Pines, I'm probably not traveling to this event, which makes sense because you want to kind of travel, make it make sense. I mean, these guys can get to Massachusetts on Sunday night. Like
JT went there on the way here.
It's gonna be super easy for them to get over there, and I don't think it's gonna be much of a concern at all. So I'm proceeding as normal with these guys here. The only one in this range, Matt, who is not qualified for the U.S. Open is Chris Kirk. So
he's been bet a lot. I've seen his name on a lot of cards on my Twitter timeline.
It's a tough price.
For I didn't play him in DraftKings. I like his game for this course for sure. But I like other guys better. I couldn't get there with Chris Kirk.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's tough once he gets into this range, and we expected it. I mean, the way that he's been trending, it makes a lot of sense. It's not like there's nothing that we can really say about him that's bad by any means, but getting into this range and some of the guys that you can get for $500 ahead of him, I'll start with Tyrell Hatton. I think he is a fantastic value this week. He seems like a guy who's going to excel here. You kind of want tougher courses for Hatton where the putter's going to come up big. I told Sam on our betting show last night, like I fully anticipated a withdrawal from Hatton because he's on my season long, and he was one of the first guys that I saw that was like probably going over to the Lift Tour or whatnot. He's also never played in the Canadian Open, so it was a little odd to me because Hatton kind of picks and chooses what he does. Not that other guys don't, but like Hatton does it on a different level.
Yeah, he plays when he wants.
He consistently is playing like 20 or 18 to 22 events per year, picking and choosing, playing the big events. So this kind of shocked me, but he's here. He's ready to go. Second on the PGA Tour this season in strokes gained putting. We know that he's always been a good putter, and I think he's extremely consistent on the greens, and I think it's something that you're going to need here. Looking at the 2010, Carl Pettersson when he won, third in strokes gained putting, third from 5 to 10 feet, second from 10 to 15. So top three in the three main categories. Obviously, rolling putts in is going to win you an event, especially when you shoot a 60. But I like where Hatton kind of lines up. Looking at proximity out of the rough on the season, 8th on the PGA Tour. So I don't think if the course plays tough and is penal out of the rough and whatnot, as people say, I think Hatton's a great play, especially at 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of an upside than anything. The thing that scares me is the driver's been hit or miss. If you get a hit week, you're in for a high ceiling if he has a driver. But I don't know what we're gonna get, and he hasn't been consistent with it at all. I actually have a side bet with my friend Andy Lack. I have Harold Varner. He has Tyrrell Hatton straight up for $50. See who finishes higher. So I got 2-3. He's got Hatton. We'll see how that turns out. So what's your thoughts on the two 20% projected owned Canadians? And which one do you think I'm playing in this range?
I want to say that you're playing Corey Connors because you normally do, but I have a funny feeling that you're playing Adam Hadwin at 9-3.
You think I'd be playing a 20% Adam Hadwin? We laughed at Adam Hadwin being, 20% at some event a few weeks ago, and he missed the cut, literally.
Yeah,
No, this is the Corey Connors Open. How could you not play Corey Connors in Canada? Come on. He just gained
that's fair.
eight strokes on approach last week. Since February or March, he's been about a field average putter in his home country. He is the golden boy of Canada right now, and he's the guy right now for these Canadian golfers.
I'd like to pull odds of Canadian golfers, like who's been the most favored to win this event over the past whatever years, because I feel like Connors is pushing pretty close to what we've seen.
Yeah. I mean, he's the second guy I bet this week, 25-1, and he is in that. He is one of three guys in that 12-man pool. Connors. So far we have Rory McIlroy, we have Harold Varner, and we have Corey Connors. So I just touched on that 8+8 approach last week at the Memorial, and he hasn't lost off the tee since the 2021 Genesis Invitational, and it wasn't even a full stroke. He is a great driver of the golf ball, very accurate, plenty long enough. And we know what his irons game are. The irons are what makes Corey Connors. We're gonna get 8+. If he gains 8, he might win this week. So I don't know if we're gonna get that. Can we get a spike putting week? Last time we got a spike putting week from Corey Connors was it was a few weeks ago. It was at the Match Play and the Wells Fargo. He gained about 3 and 4. I know you can make whatever you want about the Match Play, but he gains 3 in this field. And he's hitting fairways. I think Corey Connors could do it. He started playing this course last Monday, so he's familiar with it. I think he's here to perform because he embarrassed himself here in the past when he was the guy, the Canadian golfer, missed the cut. So I think he's a different golfer now in 2022, and I think he is in for his second PGA Tour win sooner than later. I know he's a popular guy that people like to bet when he's in the 40 range because we know he can spike, but I paid for it 25-1, and in this field with a top-heavy field, I think we're in Canada. I think he could do it. Yeah,
I actually like all these guys 9.5 and up. Still kind of thumbing through ownership percentages, how much of these guys I'm going to have, but Fitzpatrick rated out awesome for me as he's going to. I kind of like him coming off of a missed cut. He's the last 2 times he's came off a missed cut, he was second and fifth. He's had a lot of very high finishes. Like I said, rated out just about everywhere for me. The long rough, tight hitting fairways, shorter courses. It seems like this is a place for Fitz as well. I haven't looked at ownership too much. Is he going to be popular?
Yeah, upwards of, I'm seeing 18-20.
Yeah.
He's so safe. That's the thing.
I know. That's why coming off of the missed cut, it doesn't really worry me as it does some other guys.
He was going to be my pivot off of Rory McIlroy in the bet, in my bet, but I told myself that after Wells Fargo, we saw the literal most difficult conditions and he couldn't get it done, and we finished second. But he had so many chances, and I was there watching. I was talking with Kirshner, and then people were saying on Twitter, if it was only a little harder, Fitzpatrick would have won. This is as hard as it gets. What do you got? What else do you want? He couldn't win there. Could he win here? Sure. But I think he's very solid DFS play. He's very safe. I think he's a surefire T11 or T7, but I'm not going to bet him because I don't think he has a win in him here. And then I like other guys better in this upper 9K range. So I couldn't get the Fitz. I want this. I want that tight core. I could sprinkle him, but I want that tight core. So
stick to it. Exactly.
Varner and Connors are my guys up in this upper 9.
You were saying you think Hadwin's going to be around 20%?
Yeah, and that's because he was on camera last week with an ace. Solid week last week in Canada. Decent price, I would, for this field. I mean, he was bet a lot. I didn't think he'd touch 20 in a DFS, to be honest, but that's what I'm seeing in the projections. He's 20. I'm seeing 20.4%. We'll see.
And a lot of people could do the obvious Canadian narrative as well, where they're just kind of
I shouldn't even
talking
say that,
themselves into it. But I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, when people are tweaking their lineups tonight, that number could come down just because he's Adam Hadwin in the 9K range.
Yeah.
But you never know until the next day what ownership percentages are going to be. Our fantasy points has him at just over 16. So we'll see. They have Hatton at 13. Is that?
I'm seeing lower. I'm seeing like 8.
Oh God, I love it then.
Yeah, if he's sub 10, if he's sub 10, you get a good driving week. You might be rich this week.
Could be.
So let's move. I'm just gonna touch real quick on this lower range. The guys, because the guys in my core, Sebastian Munoz and Keith Mitchell. I played a little bit. Sebastian Munoz rated out 6th in my model. I like how this course correlates to Charles Schwab and Byron Nelson, where you just got to hit fairway green. So I like that. Didn't get too deep into it. He rated out well for me. Decent price. Put him in there. And Keith Mitchell, I like because any course Rory McIlroy plays well at, Keith Mitchell tends to play well at, whether that's Quail Hollow, whether that's the Summit Club. We've seen it too many times. So that's why I bet Keith Mitchell too, because when I like Rory, I like Keith Mitchell. So didn't really take me too much to get onto him. So those are my guys down here.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was mainly a price thing for me when I got down into this range, but they definitely popped up and made sense. So getting into the 8K range, Justin Rose, Sahith Theegala, Jonathan Vegas, Mackenzie Hughes, Rasmus Hogard, Brendan Todd, and CT Pan.
He would draw.
Interesting range, I would say. I tried to talk myself into Rose. Was again the first bet that I made, but
Rose.
Yeah.
Oh God, you're crazy, man.
I'm pretty sure I bet Rose. I'm almost 100% sure actually.
What odds? Like 60?
80.
80?
Just for being an 80. But Vegas, I like quite a bit here. Obviously has the 2 wins at the Canadian Open and has shown a lot both this season and over the past couple. I mean, he's 4th in the field this season in greens and regulation, top 15 in the field in both approach and par 4s from 350 to 400. So some of these shorter ones. Vegas also popped up for me when it was I'm drawing a blank. Either way, he's also Theegala and Vegas are 2 of the guys, the 2nd and 3rd in pricing, who are not qualified for the U.S. Open next week. And a win actually doesn't even get them in, which I was not aware of until on the way home I asked somebody.
Is it world ranking points that gets them in?
Right now it's down to hang on.
Alternates. I know it's all. I feel like a win should get him in. That's weird.
That's what I thought. Remaining qualifying special exemption from the USGA or winners of multiple PGA Tour events that award full FedEx Cup point allocation since the 2021 US Open. So it's more of a when they got their win.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not on either of those guys, but I definitely Sahith. We know what the upside is for him. Vegas, 2-time winner, obviously a different golf course, but maybe he likes Canada. I played one guy in this range, didn't really love it too much, and that is Mac Hughes. I talked about last week how Mac Hughes at $6,700 was a solid play because of his overall game, not the form. His overall game is driving accuracy, long irons, and crazy around the greens. So we get that driving accuracy this week. Boom. We get a few long irons, but we get the around the green thing, what might be big. So especially if it's more difficult conditions with the rough. So I like that. He showed out last week. He made the cut at the Memorial. He did well at $6,700. Fine. Now we're headed to another course, and then plus Canada. It was a no-brainer for me. I'm heading back to Mac Hughes. I know it's a pretty big jump from what he was last week, almost $2,000 more, but he should be around 7% owned, I'm seeing, and I'm going to have a lot of them. So hopefully Mac Hughes can get through to the weekend and put up a solid finish, because I like where his core build is rather than his form. But he's coming off a mid cut, so that's good.
Yeah. I'm so torn on Hughes. I think the price is a little bit high for me. That's the only thing that I talked myself out of him. I'm going to the guy right below him, actually. Rasmus Højgaard.
Ooh,
Yeah.
crazy.
I've been a big Rasmus guy for quite a while. He's only 21 years old, but it seems like he's really turned a page and started to mature. I mean, he's already has 3 wins on the DP World Tour in his young career. Like I said, 21 years old. We've seen him on the PGA Tour. This will be his 10th event. But he had 2 impressive showings earlier this year on the PGA Tour. Solo 6th at Corrales Punta Cana, which that top 10 got him into the field the very next week at Valero, Texas, where he finished T18. And just showing a lot of consistency in terms of cut making, which we didn't even see over the past like 2-3 years, even on the DP World Tour. Like he would go in waves, kind of like his brother is doing right now. But he'd go in waves of making the cut, missing the cut, and he's made 14 straight cuts worldwide. So something clicked. He's maybe a little bit more mature. I think we're just seeing the start of a pretty awesome career with Rasmus Højgaard. I think there's a lot to be excited about here, and I think he's got a lot of win equity. I mean, he's shown it before in pretty decent fields, and like I said, he had 2 top 20s in his 2 PGA Tour events this season. Why not go back this week?
Yeah, if he was in the 7K, I would definitely be on him, because his profile is that of Rory McIlroy, driver and putter. That's what drives him, those 2 clubs.
Yeah.
So, but the thing that's getting me off of him is the price point, and 2, in his few PGA Tour events where he has popped, it's been all putter. It's been like gaining 7-8 strokes with the putter. And is that awesome? Yeah. Is that consistent? No. Can he do it again? Hell yeah. He's a good putter. Like, he's a good putter for a reason. That's why he's gaining that many strokes. Obviously, it's never like to bank on someone making 100 putts. I'd rather see it in consistent ball striking. So $8,300 is what's going to get me off him, but I do like his core build. I do like how he fits this course, and if he is hitting his driver well, he's going to be a lot longer than these guys, other than the majority of this field. It's crazy how far this guy hits a golf ball. Like, it's very impressive. So,
some of the things for me, Matt, that came up, I mean, it's a limited sample size because he hasn't played a ton on the PGA Tour this season, but ranked in the top 10 in par 3s from 200 to 225, top 10 in par 4s from 350 to 400, and he's 4th in the field in sand safe percentage this year. So a couple things going. Obviously, has to buckle down, hit these fairways. I think that's going to be key this week. If he's spraying it all over the place, I don't feel comfortable with him, as you shouldn't either. But you mentioned the price. I think it's fair. I mean, if we're going to be talking to a Brendan Todd at $8,200 just because he had one good finish recently, like, I'll play Højgaard 10 times out of 10 before I'll play Brendan Todd.
Yes, and CT Pan just withdrew.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Brendan Todd over 10% already. A lot of that ownership is going to go on to Todd now. So if you're
because they have that much money left and they got to see where they can spend it.
You're playing that much. You're playing a 15% Brendan Todd after one good performance. I know he's won back-to-back before in his career, but he's had one good performance in X amount of weeks. Why? Don't play Brendan Todd this week. Play someone sub 10% in this range, because you're going to have similar to more upside than someone who hits fairways. So that's my Brendan Todd thing. Anything
else you got in this range? My last thing on Højgaard, he's coming in at sub 5% just because I don't think people know who he is.
Wow. That's actually, I thought he was going to be a little bit. I mean, DK knows their stuff. That's why he's priced where he is. So I thought people would get to him, but sub 5%. If I wasn't going, I could put some of my Mac Hughes liability onto Rasmus, because I like how he his course. I like how he fits the course. And if I'm playing Rory, I'm playing Keith Mitchell. Rasmus fits that profile, in my opinion. So I wish Maverick McNeely was in this field because Maverick McNeely is that golfer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm gonna when I'm done, I'm gonna look over my percentages. But if I had to go to one guy, it would be Rasmus. Besides that, I'm just on Matt Hughes in this range.
Fair enough.
But
That's
I'm
a
good for the
fairly gross range. So let's get on to the 7K range. A lot going on in the sevens, obviously. I think you have to make some very important decisions because the 6K range is like it normally is, but just not as like once you get below 65, 64, I feel like it's just you can start crossing guys out, which is the case most weeks. But when we get like the 120 man field and whatnot, or stronger events where you get a lot of these like rookies at 6K flat or some guys with some type of upside at 6K, like that's not the case this week. So
No.
I'm going to live and die in this 7K range. I think it's going to be extremely important and starts at the top with me. I'm going to be playing some Aaron Rye. He was in my FanDuel article. I talked to what'd you say?
I was close to Rye. Let me sell me. I was really close to him.
So with Aaron Rye, sorry, let me pull up my thing here, but I did bet him for a top 40. He was right where I wanted to see him. But last week at the Memorial, did not hit his irons very well, which isn't exactly where he struggles. He had gained in the past seven straight events before his last two starts. So like Rye had been very consistent with his irons in the short time that he's been a PGA Tour rookie, but he's shown us a lot. But he did have some bright spots at the Memorial last week, even without having his irons. Number one in the field in strokes gained putting. I've mentioned I'm kind of prioritizing putting this week. I think it's going to be important. Gained over 8 strokes, which is his most ever. Small sample size, but still, if you're gaining over 8 strokes, you had a hell of a week on the greens. It's also top 5 in par 4 scoring from 450 to 500 last week at Memorial, which there's 7 of on the card this week. So I think $7,900 is a fair price point for him. Same thing as like you look at the guys who are in the lower 8s. I think Rye should be up there. I mean, he's priced extremely fairly, but given what he's shown us over the course of the season, I think $7,900 is a good price for him. I also think I will get to Mark Hubbard a little bit.
Ooh, he's a great, accurate driver of the golf ball. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and he needs to put out these results. He's not on full status.
Do you have anybody in this upper 7 range, or who is your first guy in that's in your player pool of 12?
I have 2 guys at 7.4 and one guy at 7. I went a little.
Let me guess your 7.4s. Hang on.
Okay.
2 at 7.4 exactly.
2 at 7.4 exactly.
So you went.
I actually hate one of them.
Grillo.
Yes.
And Wallace.
No, I couldn't go to Matt
Will
Wallace. You want? No.
Huh? He was the last one I would have guessed clearly because I did, but
I'll do the Grillo thing first. So I used to like Grillo as for betting, whatever, DFS. He was great at golf. This year he kind of sucks at golf, but he modeled out for me. He was like 7th in my model. I looked into it. I was like, why is Grillo modeling out for me? He's been doing so bad recently. So he's kind of figured out something since that horrible first 3 months of the season. 4 straight made cuts. And while I still look at his iron game, he's not doing as good as he used to, but he rates out so good in some of these prime buckets. He's 6th on tour in the 150 to 175, 33rd from 175 to 200, and 14th from 200 to 225. And last week at Memorial, he gained 5 strokes off the tee. Before that, he gained a stroke. So if he's driving the ball awesome, we know at the core, he's a great iron player. So if he found something with his driver and he could go back to his roots with his amazing iron play, Grillo could pop. We know he struggles with the putter, but we're not going to have to go to 2,500 this week. I'm happy that he's made 4 straight cuts. And that if he found something with a driver, that's what's key, because I know he has a +10 iron week in him. He does it like once a year. So I think Grillo is blacklisted for me in the betting market for this season at least. But I didn't say anything about him in DFS. So Grillo is my first guy in the 7K range, and I guess I'll talk about John Hull real quick. John Hull is my second guy in this 12-man pool, and he's kind of figured something out. Last week or 2 weeks ago, he was as an alternate at the Charles Schwab. I know it was just one really good week when Bryson withdrew. He gained in 3 out of the 4 major categories, lost in putting, which is fine, and still finished T12. But why I like him, he is 23rd on tour in driving accuracy, which is amazing. 13th from 150 to 175, and in the top 100 from 200 to 225. So maybe he found some. That T12 at the Charles Schwab, not an easy course by any means. Of course, you got to have a complete game, and he still had a great result. It's not like he did it. You see all these random guys pop all the time, just gaining 10 strokes putting. He did it with his ball striking, so that's really good to see. He hasn't played since then, so hopefully he's still got that ball striking working. I didn't really love anyone besides. I mean, this field's not great. You're not gonna love anyone. So I went with John Hutt 7-4 and Grillo at 7-4 in this mid-7 range.
I did not think it would. When I looked at 7-4 and saw Grillo as the first guy, I was like, "There's no way Matt's playing Grillo." But you literally just have to say his name to sell me. So I'm
on Grillo.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, let's go. It's Grillo week.
I'm in. I haven't played him in quite some time. Actually, I used to play him. It seems like every single week he'd be in the 8Ks. Still just 29 years old. Like he's been a rookie since what, 2015, 2016?
I remember when he was like leading the what was it, the PGA Championship?
Yeah.
He was leading something when he was like so young, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Grillo is going to be the guy." And then he became the coastal track king. He was just did so good when there was water near. It was within 50 miles. He would do good on that track. But he lost something this year. He was a bad iron player this year, but hopefully he found something with that driver, which is key for me. And then we know how good the irons could be. So let's rock Grillo. Let's wear let's Argentina flag this week. Let's do it, Grillo. Let's do it.
And like you said, the par threes from 200 to 225, you mentioned the long approaches. He's 17th on those holes this season, where, like you mentioned, he hasn't had a great season. That's pretty evident. And then fairways gained, he's also top 20 in the field. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for fairways, and I mean, move on with your day. Like, it's going to be as simple as that. And when you're getting him at $7,400 surrounded by guys who are non-members, Grillo. Simple as that.
We're gonna overthink
I'm going to jump back up to the top real quick.
Go for it.
Cameron Champ.
Too many missed
7,800.
Upside though.
Pops in random spots for the most part. And one thing that surprised me when I was kind of going through like these shorter par 70s, he's actually had some success. Like over the last 3 seasons, he ranks 14th in my model. Hits a ton of greens, especially as of late. Even like when he's missing cuts, he's still hitting greens in regulation, which I think is going to be important this week.
Because that's what holds him back is the iron play.
Yeah,
if that's the case,
exactly. And he's clearly strong off the tee. Like I'm not surprising anybody by saying that. He's gained in 7 straight events off the tee. Can really get it out there. So say he finds himself in the rough, it could be the difference between a 100-yard approach and a 150-yard approach. I mean, he can put it out there. He's $7,800, and we know the win equity that he carries. He wins at random times, just like it felt like Billy Horschel last week. Like nobody saw it coming, but at the same time, Billy finds a way to win every now and then, and Champ's one of those guys. You don't know when it's going to happen.
If Champ wins this, I wouldn't be like, wow, like that's crazy. Like I could see that. I could see that.
He's 130 to 1 on DraftKings.
That's exactly the price he won at the 3M Open.
3M.
Exactly 130 to 1.
Yep. And similar field. Big names at the top, and then just fades away completely at the bottom. And it's not like he's in horrible form by any means. Like I said, he's missed a few cuts, but at the same time, he's pushed out some high upside finishes. So getting him at $7,800, like, it's a high risk, high reward type guy. But I like Champ quite a bit. Matt Wallace, I mentioned him as one of my first guesses at $7,400. You said you had a couple guys. He was playing horribly through the first vast majority of the 2022 calendar year. He missed 8 of his last 9 cuts, 8 of his last 9 cuts on the PGA Tour before spending the last 2 weeks on the DP World Tour, where he's really turned it around. I don't know if it's just his comfort level over there or if he actually found something, but last week, T18 at the Porsche European Open. Week prior to that, T5 at the Dutch Open. So back-to-back top 20s in fields that were no slouches. I mean, it was fairly good fields, a normal field that you'll see over on the DP World Tour, but maybe that's what Wallace needed, just to get back where he's comfortable and kind of find his groove again. So I like Wallace at $7,400. I know DraftKings, I think, mispriced him at like 400 to 1 right when the books opened. I'm not touching him at 200 to 1. I don't think that's a good bet. I don't think he's going to win by any means, but I would sprinkle 400 to 1 if it was out there. Like if I would have saw that right away, I would have jumped on it, but they adjusted fairly quick to that. And then the last guy in here, Ryan Armour, second in my model over the past year when it comes to a longer rough. So hopefully won't be affected by that. And then 8th over the past 5 seasons on these shorter par 70 courses, made the cut in 2 of his last 4 events. Kind of alternating. He's going made cut, miscut, made cut, miscut. T25 or better in both times that he made the cut. Wasn't the strongest field, but I think this spot kind of makes sense for Armour, and all you really need is a made cut and finish inside the top 40, and I think you can do that.
Yeah, I do like that for sure. The final guy in this 7K range and another guy in this tight pool that I'm playing is Doug Ghim. I love Doug Ghim when it gets to this price point. Every once in a while, he'll be in like the mid-8s randomly, and then he'll miss the cut. But we know Doug Ghim, he's a top 50. Am I lagging right now? Can you hear me?
No.
You can hear? Okay.
You're good.
I like Doug Ghim at this price point. He is in the top 50 on approach on the PGA Tour, top 60 in driving accuracy, and it doesn't matter what course he's playing. He can pop anywhere because he's a great ball striker. He's just very inconsistent. So you never like to play him when he gets into the upper 8s or mid-8s. I like him when he's close to the 6K range because he has the same equity to pop than he does when he's highly priced, in my opinion. So kind of a price point thing. You know what you're getting with Doug Ghim. He's just coming off of a made cut at the Memorial, which is a great sign. He hit the ball well, gained 3 off the tee, 2 on approach, lost with the putter, which is he does irregularly.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just mainly we know he's a good ball striker and he's a good price point. So that's why I went with Doug Ghim, and he's not very highly owned.
It's another guy, Matt, you just don't have to talk me into. You're right, though. The price point, like, everyone knows the upside. It's still a guy that I'm holding out on a win. Like, I think he can win an event on the PGA Tour. Maybe he's not in the right form to get a win right here, right now. But at the same time, I don't think it'd be all that shocking exactly.
Yeah, he's going to win the Amex next year, though, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pencil it in.
Pencil it in.
Anyone else rounding out the 7K range that you like? One other guy that I had some interest in was Brandt Snedeker. It's rated out in terms of like long-term form, I guess, more than anything. And then Matthias Schwab is always interesting to me at 7,300. Pretty good out of the rough actually as well. Matt Wallace is as well out of the rough. So 2 guys that I was kind of looking at outside of that, not a whole lot.
Yeah, just those 3 guys for me. Ghim, Huh, and Grillo are my 7K guys, and then that's it. I got 4 guys in the 6K, and that's the 12-man core.
That's a 12-man core. Well, let's get right to it. 6K range. So you only got 4 guys left. Clearly, Hayden Buckley at 6.9 is in your 12-man.
Someone else at 6'9". It's not. It's done for Hayden Buckley. We had our thing, and we promised ourselves not to go back. It's someone else at 6'9", who I've been playing like more than I feel like I should. It's Kramer Hickok.
Okay.
What Kramer Hickok is a very accurate driver of the golf ball, and that's basically all he is. He made the cut at the Memorial, And that's about it. That's about it. I'm taking Kramer Hickok because when you get to this price range, you got to find guys who are good at one thing, and hopefully they can excel at that one thing.
Yeah.
And if Kramer Hickok hits what 34 fairways this week, he's gonna make the cut. Well, obviously, if he's playing 34, he's made the cut. If he can hit whatever 34 divided by 2 fairways is in the first 2 days, he'll make the cut. 6,900. Hopefully, you have a good weekend. So that's my Kramer Hickok thing. Who you like in his upper 6 range, if anyone?
The first guy that I had was Callum Tarrant.
Yes, that's my next guy. That's my next guy. Yes.
Yeah, he's a guy that we've talked about a couple times. You just look at his off the tee game and what he's been able to do. He's made 3 straight cuts on the PGA Tour. Yes. Fairly priced. He's actually, you probably don't know this because it's a stat that I don't usually click on, but I went over to the PGAtour.com and proximity in total out of the rough, number 1 on the PGA Tour this season.
So weird. That is so weird. And it's such a skewed stat, but you need angles and you got to run with it. So let's do it. Callum Tarrant, 3 straight made cuts. We saw him first round leader at Wells Fargo in some benign conditions, whatever. He's got the game. I actually played him heavy at, I think it was the Puerto Rico Open or one of the alt field events.
It was Puerto Rico.
And he
top 5.
Like 15-1 top 5, and he cashed it for me. So Callum Tarrant, a little special spot in my heart for that 15-1 bet. First time I've ever bet him. So didn't bet him, but he's in this core at 6,700. And yeah, he's a great rough approach player. Duh. Everyone knows that. So
everyone knows that. How could you not? Look at his hair.
Look at his hair. He's a grind ball. Let's go, Callum Tarrant. Let's do it.
The last 3 events though that he's made the cut, they haven't been fantastic finishes, but he's basically playing field average and gaining with his putter, which I've been saying the whole show. That's kind of what I'm looking at. He's gained at least 1.5 strokes on the field in 4 straight measured rounds. I think this is a good spot for him if he can get anything going with the irons, if he can continue to hit fairways. $6,700. Even if he doesn't hit fairways, Matt, he's just going to put it to 3 inches out of the rough.
I hope he doesn't hit any fairways.
Yeah, better for us.
Better for us. Hit no fairways and just stick everything 3 feet out of the rough. Just boost that rating.
Speaking of 67, we're at a point in time where Carlos Ortiz is down here, and I'm not even really considering him.
I was. Then I looked. He's like going to be 10% owned at 6,700. I saw.
Why?
Because his name, and because he won the week before major before. That's why.
That's fair, but literally everything has been bad. Like bad as in when he lost his tour card bad, which we're
getting there. Yeah, I'm a no on. I was going to pencil him in, and then I just because of the upside, but I was like no, like this is really bad. Anyone else in this upper to mid? Because I got 2 more guys in the.
I got one at 65.
Okay, who's that? I got one at 64.
David Lingmerth. Just looking at a couple things from last week at the Memorial. He was T48, so obviously not fantastic, but 15th in approach in the field and 2nd in proximity from 200 plus. Talked about the longer par 3s. Hopefully Lingmerth can kind of carry what he brought over there. I used to play David Lingmerth a lot when I first started DFS. He's been hitting a lot of fairways. He's fairly consistent with the putter. $6,500. I'm probably going to get back on Lingmerth for the first time since like 2016.
Yeah, I don't mind it. He had a great showing last week with his driver.
Yeah,
like a really good showing. So yeah, I like that. My next guy is. Well, you got more on Lingmerth. You got more on Lingmerth?
I don't. I was looking at. You said 64.
Oh yeah. Guess who it is?
Let's see. You've been on a Canadian run, so my guess is going to be Roger Sloan.
I did like Roger Sloan in the summer when he was like finished like 3 straight top 10s in about the 3M time. But no, he's kind of lost it since then.
Yes.
It's actually Henrik Norlander, my $6,400 play. And the results have not been pretty from Norlander recently. Made the cut at the Wells Fargo, but finished 59th. And he hasn't finished inside the top 45 since the Zozo. So, but why do I like Henrik Norlander? One, the price point, and two, the approach game is pretty solid this season. He rakes inside the top 50, the top 55 in 3 of the most important bucket ranges at this course. Has he been gaining with the approach? No. But besides that, it's more of an upside, and anyone who can contend at Torrey Pines can do it anywhere. So hopefully he finds something. I mean, back then when he almost finished second at Torrey Pines at the Patrick Reed Farmers Open, he didn't have any crazy form going into that. $6,400 on a guy who is a more class than $6,400 in Henrik Norlander. I'll bite. I went heavy on him too. No one's going to be playing him. So if he makes the cut, I'll be in business. And then my last guy, he's going to be my favorite golfer in the next 4 years. Probably see me post about him on Twitter. That is Chris Gotterup, New Jersey's own former Rutgers Scarlet Knight. He just won the Haskins Award for the best college golfer at Oklahoma. Played his 5th year there. Was a 3-foot putt away from winning the individual title. Missed it. But besides all that, he just qualified for the U.S. Open at Old Oaks, which is I said awesome. He's qualified for the U.S. Open. I love him here. Then Andy Lack said this is a great comp course as well. To this course. I'm like, sign me up. Chris Gotterup, 6,300. He finished inside the top 10 at the Puerto Rico Open or one of the other alt-field events. He finished inside the top 10. Now he's getting all these sponsors exemptions. He is a great driver of the golf ball, great ball striker. He is a name to remember. I mean, he's won the Haskins Award. Some of the best players in golf now, Patrick Cantlays, the Bryson DeChambeaus, they're top collegiate players, the Max Homas. Is it going to happen overnight? Probably not. But $6,300 to a guy who's made a cut in a PGA Tour event before and has some high finishing upside before the public really starts to know about him, throw a 400 to 1 on him too. Why not? So Chris Gotterup. Did you bet him? Yeah, I sprinkled a little. I'm gonna bet him. I bet him in Corn Ferry starts. He's from with 30 minutes from me, not even. So I knew who he was in high school, and he went to Rutgers, which is close to me as well. So I've always known who he was, and now he's really coming into his own. So he's kind of a unit. But remember the name, Chris Gotterup.
This price in this field, I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean, do I have this right? It says he finished 7th at the Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it was in the top 10 at the Puerto Rico. He was close to the lead for a while too.
I don't even remember him being the name being up there though. To be honest,
that was one of the. He didn't get too much TV time because that event wasn't even on TV that much because I think was that API week. It was, I don't know, it was something. It was one other event, I think. So maybe it was. I don't know. Could be so wrong. Could have been its own event. But he was up there at the lead. I think that was one of his first PGA Tour events.
It was API week 10 of the season. Yep.
What a great guess! Wow. So he's shown that he can perform with these guys. I mean, it's a PGA Tour event. A PGA Tour event. I know this feels a little bit better. Do I think he's going to finish T7? No. But do I think he can make the cut? I really do think he can make the cut. He's playing great golf. He has 2 wins in college this year. It's not easy to win anywhere. So,
yeah.
You're playing golf.
I saw you comment on Skylar Hoke's card with Gotterup. That's how I kind of knew that you were going there. Mm-hmm. When it comes to these younger guys, Sky follows them as good as, if not more than anybody. So when I see somebody like that on Sky's card, immediately look him up, and then hearing more in depth from you, who is nearby where he's from and kind of followed along with him. Mm-hmm. Great story. And when you see something like that, and he's already got a top 10 on the PGA Tour, I don't care what event it is.
Yeah,
$6,300
in this field at Puerto Rico too. I remember he was on his event at it was on his card at Puerto Rico as well. I had him too, and he obviously didn't cash anything for me because I bet him with a top 5, but he was it was like a 50 to 1 top 5 too.
Oh yeah,
on him that week. And
yeah, if you're early on guys like that, and this is a field to do that too. You're going to see guys kind of push for a top 10, top 20. I mean, it's a little bit stronger at the top, obviously, but nothing too crazy. So, Outside of that, Matt, I didn't really have anybody else. Ben Martin is near win at Corrales. Would have locked up his membership, obviously. Had an emotional video after about not getting that win. But most recently, he had a solo 10th at the NV5 Invitational just a couple weeks back. I like Ben Martin. I liked him when he was on the PGA Tour. Pretty good price this week. Just don't know how much I'll get to him. Ready to do a little recap?
Let's do it.
All right. 10K plus range. My top two. I'll do it in order. Cam Smith 1, Shane Lowry 2.
All right. It's Rory for me, and then it's going to be Shane Lowry 2.
9K, I'm going to go Tyrell Hatton 1 and Varner number 2.
I'll go Connors and Varner. Hammer Varner this week, guys. Hammer Varner.
8K range. 2 guys already withdrew, CT Pan and Reed, obviously. But I'm going to go Vegas 1, Hogard 2.
You kind of sold me on Rasmus. So it's Mac Hughes for sure for me, 1, and then it's Hogard 2. I don't know how much. I don't know if I can play Hogard because I only have
12.
Yeah. I don't
Well,
know
if you get in a spot and you're building tonight, you could have a spot where you're like, I don't want 2-3 lineups with the same amount of guys. I don't know. You think it's going to get tight with your build or not really?
I already built all the 20 lineups, and I don't believe there's any overlap.
Really?
Yeah.
That's tough.
I know. I definitely could pick. I could put
leave it. Yeah. Actually, no. Sub him out for. I'm going to make you sub him out for Mac Hughes in one of them. You pick the one.
I have Mac Hughes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lineups, which is 5 divided by 20.
25%.
That's 25%. That's quick math on my calculator app. That's 25% Mac Hughes. He's going to be what, 8%? I could go one lineup.
I think you do. I like the 12 player pool, but I don't know.
Yeah, or I could I'll figure. I might get the one Rasmus for you.
It just sucks getting to 13. That's such an ugly number. 13 players in your pool.
Yeah.
All right, 7K range. I'm gonna go. God, Cam Champ is gonna be my number 1, and then you sold me on Grillo. I'm gonna go Grillo 2.
It's Grillo week, boys and girls. Let's go. Grillo 1, and then John Huh 2.
All right, and then the 6K range, rounding it out. I'm Callum Tarrant as my number 1, and we're gonna go. God, I'll just do Lingmerth 2, but like I said, I'm not gonna be playing this 6K range very much.
All right, 6K range for me. I'll go Norlander 1, Gotterup 2.
Sounds like a winner.
Sounds like a winning DFS week for us both.
All right, that'll do it this week for the RBC Canadian Open. Good luck. Thanks, everyone, for watching yet again. You can find us on Twitter. Subs, find us in Discord the rest of the night while we're kind of going through the rest of our builds. I know Chris and a lot of the guys are in the Discord for the rest of the night, so join in and ask your questions, and let's get after it. Thanks for joining, Matt.
Get after it. Let's have a week. One more weekend. It's a major championship week. Keep
That's
at
right.
it, boys.
See ya.